let's talk about what happened last session, besides the international hack that caused us to disconnect many, many times until eventually we gave up. We did get some progress into the story. Your party returned with morning sunshine on your backs to Lambeth Hollow, where you wrapped up some loose ends, including getting paid by the counselor, as well as a small payment from the rangers for your help in the woods. Additionally, you guys chose to visit the tavern, where you found out that Therasine had a driver arrive with a personal transport. It's always good to have somebody spend character points on the money skill tree. And Chris is doing it for you this game. And not only did his personal transport arrive, but you guys also wrapped up some loose ends and had a conversation with Ethel, where all of you learned that she actually grew up as a little girl in Old Lambeth before it was removed from the plane by the curse of the Eternal Midnight. And that other witch that you dealt with was in fact her twin sister, who was left behind and twisted by the darkness of the alternate plane. And she decided that she would leave her job at the inn and try to get back there to see if her sister was still alive, since none of you killed her. She was unconscious when you left her. And before she left, Charlotte, she let you know that she had left the unused sigil as a gift and asked you to keep it. And you guys started your ride. I believe that you also, when you talked to the driver, that was when he told you about the untimely demise of your father while you had been away, Therasine. And it was decided that he would be leaving the rest of the party midway along the journey to Aethergarde, because you all wanted to stop at the Everhunt Lodge, where the monster hunters gather in the hills outside of Aethergarde when they can, and specifically the lodge of your party's monster hunter, so that he could get his sword repaired before continuing on to the big city. And we ended with Therasine parting and telling V that he should stay with the party, which caught people by surprise, in and out of character. But for now, at least, the party continues up the hill through the trees towards the distant smokestack of the Everhunt Lodge, walking together as Therasine's personal transport, his carriage, kind of gothic carriage, departs past your view, continuing west towards Aethergarde. Your party's being led up the hill by your...
So as I was saying, if anybody gives you a funny look, I'll probably catch the look anyways. I'm talking to V. And, you know, you don't have to... You can allow yourself to be anxious, but don't let it overwhelm you.
I'm just gonna leave my mask on.
The clothes do number 2, actually. They help a lot. They will. There's some gruff individuals here. There are those that are of my same eloquence and complexion. And there are silent ones. You'll meet very many different people here.
As he's saying that, and you guys reach the top of the hill, you can see kind of like a wooden horse gate where there's a stable and there's a few horses out grazing. And past it, you can see the walkway up to the door of the lodge, which is a pretty sizable building in this kind of forested area. But as you reach that hilltop, kind of out of nowhere, standing straight up just to the left of the party, off of the road, is a tall, thin but powerfully built, dark-skinned male who just kind of stands up. He's got a short-cut afro and kind of a receding hairline with folds in his skin. He looks like he's probably in his late 40s, kind of chalky beard, all kind of built on his chin, and his eyes kind of dark and auburn level at the party. And he looks to you silently. This you do recognize. This is Chafari.
Okay. Well, what a friendly first face to see. Hello, Chafari.
He kind of shifts and he looks at you. He looks over the party again and he says, Jensen, it's been a while.
Much too long.
Have you brought new hunters?
Well, not well. I mean, recently, I guess you could call us all hunters, yes. But no, there's a group that I began traveling with not long ago.
He cocks his head. Yeah. He kind of cocks his head and he looks you up and down, and then he looks to the hilt and he looks back to you again. And how is the blade holding up?
Well, I would be lying if that wasn't one of the reasons I came here. I wanted to stop off here so eagerly. We faced something that, it started eating away at the blade, and so I figured I needed to come in and go to Cyril, I think?
No, Jafari's the one who's going to have to fix the blade.
Oh, yeah, I would say. I'm lucky that you were here, the first one we talked to. And I'll pull it. I'll put it flat in my hands and kind of hold it out in front of me.
He'll lean over and he'll squint a little bit and then raise an eyebrow and look to you and say, yes, you have indeed been hunting. This blade's going to shatter at any moment. Come. He steps off of the rock and kind of shifts through the bush, and as he starts to walk up the dirt path past the horses towards the lodge, all of you would notice that he has a pretty noticeable limp. He favors his right leg pretty heavily. You're muted.
Right. After he gets a few steps away, I'm going to look back at all of you and kind of smile and say, he's something of an armor smith here, and he's a more permanent member of the lodge, someone we will be in contact with a lot. And I'll start after him.
Jensen, as you're leading them to follow him towards the lodge's entrance, you would see, stepping out of the stable with a couple more of the horses, you would see Maisie as well. She doesn't seem to notice you because she's over 100 feet away. So
yeah, okay. I'm not gonna purposely seek her out. I mean, Jafari has asked us to come with him, so.
All right. Continuing forward, Jafari just kind of opens the door to the lodge and steps in and leaves it open for the rest of you. Entering the lodge, all of you are greeted by a kind of massive plush hall room full of comfort chairs, fireplaces to sit next to. There's some bookshelves, there's hunting rifles placed at various points on the walls, animal skins of different types as well. If any of you have seen League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, I kind of picture this as the place that what's his name's hanging out. Sean Connery's hanging out in at the beginning is kind of what this place is. It's just, you can tell that this is where Jensen's kind of people, when they've got time off, this is where they would be. However, currently there's just one person here as Chafari leads you in, which is becoming more and more common nowadays. But as the lodge isn't, as you know, the lodge isn't quite what it once was. No. And that is Cyril, who is currently behind the short bar. And he is shifting what appears to be a new painting that he's gotten back and forth on the wall, trying to get it straight. Jafari turns and looks at him and says, "A little to the left. Friends have arrived." And then he turns and he looks back at you and he says, "The blade?"
Oh, yes, thank you. I'll put it back in the scabbard and hand the whole scabbard off to him.
He'll kind of take it from you carefully and he'll look at you and he'll look at your neck and he'll say, "I'll bring you a lodge pendant as well." And he'll just walk away.
Yes.
What's a lodge pendant?
It's what signifies the lodge that I call home, basically. I used it when we were
Actually, you used a different lodge's pendant that you found. You already didn't have one when the story started.
That's right. That's right.
What happened to your lodge pin?
What did happen to my lodge pin?
Dude, he's putting you on the spot, not me.
I know, yeah. I'm just,
you used it for some reason. Think of something.
That didn't sound that was not in character.
Oh, okay. Well, I knew that. I knew it wasn't in character.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something behind it.
I mean, he asked your character, so.
Oh.
You got to decide how you want to answer.
I'm gonna say, well, there's it was torn off in a fight I had with a particularly rough vampire, and I never found it again. I went back and looked where I fought it. And no, he was not. Not only was it not there, but the vampire that I thought I vanquished wasn't either.
You run into a lot of
story for another time. I'm sorry.
You run into a lot of vampires.
That's
It's kind of in the job description, actually.
Mr. McGinnis is right.
When you turn and look back, Cyril is turned around now. He has long hair that's neatly combed back and speckled with gray and white strands. And he has a massive, curled, waxed mustache with a clean face. He's pretty tall. He's very thin, like a rail, and his aged skin kind of folds against his cheekbones. And he smiles and he says, "Have you been on the road long?"
Oh, for yes, a long time. Man, time is a funny thing, Cyril.
He'll chuckle. "And who are the rest of you? Introduce yourselves, because Jensen's already forgotten."
Well, excuse me. This is the
V. Simple enough. Did you need something to drink? Or perhaps eat?
Again?
We have a... Oh no. Did we just lose Josh? Did Josh just die?
My computer freaked out for a second. Coming back in, I think.
You're good. Or perhaps all of you needed something to eat. He'll look at the rest of you. His eyes fall on you, Charlotte, and he says, "Interesting. I feel like maybe I've seen you speak somewhere. A public engagement, perhaps?"
Oh, that's quite likely. My name's Charlotte Price.
Charlotte Price. Yes. Interesting indeed. I've read some of your work.
Oh, have you now?
Yes, I might have some copies I need to go dig up for signatures, if you don't mind.
Oh, well, I don't mind at all, actually. It's nice to see Fan, with their head still on their shoulders, anyway.
You'll definitely want to be around and get your copy of the next one she's about to write, I say.
I see. So you've been hunting, then. You'll have to tell me more about that, all of you. And the rest of you?
Did he get that I introduced myself before
He did.
my whole thing? Okay.
He asked if you needed a food or drink, and then he kind of spread it to the whole party, because he could tell that you were having computer problems.
Yeah, cool. That's good. That's good. I'll take some food.
He'll nod.
Yeah. And this is the greatest showman I think I ever seen or ever ran into. Maximilian.
Maximilian Copernicus de Valois, to be quite precise, and I would enjoy a meal as well, if it's not too much trouble.
He'll smile. Find yourselves a table. I'll go get something whipped up. It's going to be spicy.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
And, excuse me if I've forgotten most of the name already. I'm just going to call you Max.
That's quite all right. Mr. Jensen has done the same.
He turns and he leaves you all alone in this chamber. Go ahead and roll perception tests for me. The highest target number for this perception test is a 10.
I got a 5.
Charlotte, great job.
I got a 9. I was almost there.
It's also easy for me, I believe.
Yeah. Looking around, pretty much all of you notice that along different parts of the walls, there are actually some strange, it's not just like a wolf head mounted to the wall, or the elephant head skeleton that's mounted to the back wall. That's pretty impressive. Well, to those of your characters that would find that impressive. Some of you might take issue with the killing of animals. I don't know. But you also notice that there are some stranger things, including what appears to be the mounted head of possibly some kind of anthropomorphic wolf or a werewolf, and a manticore head in another area. With a mounting of several rifles underneath it with different names on plaques. Charlotte, you know something that you take interest in is you notice off to the side next to the books, there's kind of this strange book sitting there. It looks pretty large and heavy, and it appears that the writing on it is in what you would know. And actually, I'd probably say Max 2 would know to be a dead language. It is called... Sorry. It's called Omo Latium. O-M-O, and then space L-A-T-I-U-M. And books in this dead language are pretty hard to find now. It originated in a nation state that became pretty powerful in the 250 to 300s. So 1500 or more years ago. That was called Tiber, Tiber.
Well, no, that's not something you see every day.
No, it certainly isn't. Although, I'm not surprised to see something like this in a place like this. I'll just kind of run my fingers over the cover.
Did either of us tell anything about the subject matter of the book?
Roll lore tests. The target number is 10. Don't forget about momentum if you'd like to use it.
I got an 8.
I got a 13.
Okay. Charlotte, I'm going to say that succeeding on that test earned your character fluency in Homo Latium. So you speak this language, even though it's a dead language, and you can read it. And, sorry, one sec. Yeah. So it looks like the front, emboldened in kind of a classic textual font on the front of the book, it says Verfortis Codex. And You would know that roughly translates to the strong man's codex.
Have I ever heard of this specific book?
What'd you get on the lore test? A 13?
13.
You've heard rumor of a book with a title similar to that. You've heard a few different versions of the title, and you know that it is said that no one has ever been strong enough to open it.
She'll trace her finger along the cover. She'll say, "The Strong Man's Codex. This is quite the specimen." And then I'm gonna put my finger under the cover, knowing that I'm probably not gonna be able to open it. Just kind of running my finger along the cover. And she'll say, "I believe it is said that no one has ever been strong enough to open it." Quite curious.
That seems like quite the challenge.
I'll take a step back and gesture. I'll
Oh,
take a step back and gesture for everyone, and then I'll look at Jensen and say, "I assume that's all right, Mr. Sharp."
Oh yes, the two of you's eyes wandered exactly where I thought they might first. You may look. I don't think they would have a problem with it, and if one does, I'll explain just who you two are, and your respect for the culture and history here.
I want to try to open the book that nobody can supposedly open.
All right. Go ahead and roll an athletics test for me. It's against a target number of 24.
24. I can't hit
I think
20.
you might need some momentous luck on that one.
I have stuff that helps with athleticism. Let's see. I have a +1 there. Does my strength training and super strength help at all with this?
Does it say it does? With athletics tests?
It doesn't. It just says that my carrying capacity doubles and then doubles again. So I can carry a lot. I don't know
I'll
if
give
that would
you
help open a book or not.
I'll give you easy. That would drop to 21.
21. Okay, let's see. Do I have anything else that can help? Because that's my max. That would be rolling maximum for me.
Wow.
I'm gonna try it first, and then if I fail, I'm gonna try to do something else.
Okay.
Oh, actually, I can roll a 24. Forgot I upped my athleticism. I got a 17. Damn it.
You attempt to, as hard as you try, you can't seem to open this tome.
Okay. I'm gonna tap into. I'm gonna dig deep and try. But really, what I'm doing is casting inner strength on myself.
Okay.
So my brawn goes up by 1, and I gain a +1 bonus to athletics, and my carrying capacity again doubles. Again, I don't know if that would help anymore, but just to throw it out there. Hey, 24! Might have hit the first one.
It still doesn't seem to give way. This time it feels like it was just literally impossible. Like it was even harder than the first time.
Well, if V can't open it, I'm not sure anyone can. Maximilian, would you like to give it a try?
Possible.
Max will give it a once-over with the Dragon Shard.
It is magical. It's very old. It's very old primal magic.
Assuming there's no, assuming no one else is immediately trying, he'll use his magical sight to try to identify it. I can
That was a
identify the
good try.
details of its magical nature, such as stats of its magic item or effects if it has an enchantment.
So as you do that, you feel kind of a wave of magic reacting to you, like it's trying to counter you. So what power are you doing that at?
Let me check. It would be 3.
Okay. Sorry, I need to check. Check something real quick. Sorry, just a moment. All right, so your eyes kind of shift and light up magically. Some sparks go off. Nobody knows why. This just happens. And you reach out to attempt to identify the exact details of this enchantment. And it seems to counter your power. Just shuts it off.
I would like...
Good.
It really quick. It felt like a reaction, like a power. It felt like when you're in combat and somebody counters one of your powers.
Have I ever encountered an object doing that before?
Yes. It's probably pretty rare though.
Say, well, now let's be careful what kind of magic we use on the relics and artifacts here. I assume you were probably just getting a better look at it. No?
In a manner speaking. But it does not seem interested in sharing its secrets. And from one professional to another, I have to respect that.
That tome is rather historic, as you can put it.
How frequently can you try and open the book?
He doesn't really know any details because it countered his ability to identify its specifications.
I was asking Jensen.
Oh. Jensen, this book wasn't here the last time you were here.
Oh, okay.
You're not aware of this book. This is
okay.
Things come and go here a lot, though.
Sure, but I recognize that it's something old, right? It's not. It's more a treasure than.
This isn't like a monster hunting manual. This is something that somebody picked up and left here because they didn't want to carry it with them.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure. I imagine if you do it too many times, your mind about to go insane a little bit. But I don't think.
Well, it didn't let me the second time. Kind of got the sense that you might have to at least wait a little while.
I mean, I would imagine.
Try ever.
I would imagine if this book is magical, as I imagine it is.
I can confirm that, if nothing else.
As Charlotte, as they're having this conversation and you're eyeing the book, you notice the cover opens ever so slightly, just on its own.
Just kind of tilt my head at it. Books are fickle creatures, after all, even more fickle than people, if you can believe it.
This was not here the last time I was here, but
Do you point that out to everyone else?
I'll kind of go up and look at it. Like, there's clearly something in particular that she's looking at. I'll kind of like run my finger along the edge of the pages.
Yeah, and follow her fingers running along. Notice that the cover has opened just ever so slightly on its own. Almost like it's tempting somebody to try again.
I'm gonna kind of just
or for the first time.
I'm gonna smirk a little bit and like look between your faces and see how you guys react to this. I think it's good. I think it's good fun, and magic should sometimes just be fun and not solved.
I'll go up and try again. It's
right.
taunting me.
You step forward.
Has it been less than a minute since the last time I tried, or has it been more than a minute?
It's probably been a couple minutes because people have been chatting about it.
Damn.
I'm gonna step back.
That means my inner strength wore off. Yeah, I'm just gonna try it normal, see if it even lets me try.
All right.
Oh, that was shit. 6, 7. I didn't try very hard.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to open.
Perhaps one needs to catch it unawares.
The first couple of times. Sneak up on it.
Perhaps.
How do you sneak up on a book?
Well, it can definitely sense intent. So I would assume one would want to approach it with an air of different intent, if that makes sense.
I'll approach it with the intent to not open it.
There you go.
Okay, you think really hard about not opening it as you walk up to it. And then you want to try again? Go ahead and roll.
Ten.
Can't seem to open it.
Remember what I said about what it can do to the mind.
Jensen, old chap, you're a rather strapping fellow. Jensen, old chap, you're a rather strapping fellow. Why don't you give it a go?
Well, I don't know if I want to, but I guess for the sake of the vibe, as it were, I'll try, I suppose. I can hit that target number technically.
24.
Yeah.
I believe in you.
Oh,
that was so rough.
Yeah, that's just a 14. I get +1.
It doesn't seem to open for you. Very hard to open this book.
I'm gonna kind of look on either side of it, and kind of run my hand along the spine too, to see if there's any imperfections or anything on the spine that.
There's wrinkles in it, in the sense that it's made from a very old animal skin press process.
Might I interject?
Oh yeah, sure. Chris.
On the spine, you see words appearing. Your friend was closer.
Is there anything else you want to describe about your character, Chris?
Oh my god.
Well, I mean, it's a book. Thick, sturdy book.
I'll kind of look at the side of it and say, do you want to be opened? I'll look down at the spine again.
By one that is worthy.
And what do you value most? being a book,
I'm gonna look over at Max and just kind of say to him, perhaps the book does do things to one's mind. Never thought I'd see
Most
Mr. Sharp talking to a book.
all the best books do, I find.
Perhaps you're right. Maximilian, perhaps you're right.
You need more
How
training
is
first.
one worthy to open a book?
I need more training. Well, that's good, actually. I do enjoy learning new things and meeting new folks and experiencing new experiences.
Must train your body and your mind. Only then can you open me.
Well, this
Train
here is
your
the most.
mind to what?
This here is the most talkative book I've ever encountered. Can any of you others see that on the spine?
I'm assuming we could all see it, right?
It's popping up for everybody to read.
I don't even have to narrate tonight. Chris is gonna do it for me. Best part.
Is it in Homo Latium, or is it in like the common language?
For you, it could be.
Okay, fair enough.
He can.
But no, it's in whatever language we're speaking, canonic.
Okay.
So for them, when they're seeing it, it's in the current dialect that's being used around Albion. But we'll say that for you, it is in Homo Latium.
Okay.
As though it can just magically sense that you can read it.
Who brought you here? I don't remember seeing you before.
Another who could not open my pages. Left me here on the table.
Is it just that we cannot open you if we are worthy, or could we pick you up, though?
I am not that heavy. Surely you have that strength at least.
I was just making sure that, well, this is the first encounter with a book that can speak and think, and I just wanted to make sure I was being respectful.
How do you train your mind to open a book?
Ask better questions.
How do I train my mind to open a book?
That would be a question for whoever is teaching you. For it is not me.
That's not. Oh, I thought this was like a master apprentice vibe you were going for.
It would be if you could open my pages.
Gotcha.
As you say gotcha, all of you feel the presence of Cyril re-entering the room, and he lays down some hot wooden big bowls of soup, and then like a fresh loaf of bread at the middle of the table with a knife to slice it. And he looks at the book and he looks at all of you and he says, "Oh, don't worry. He's been here for, well, a little while now, and he's insulted everyone that's come through."
Oh, I don't know if I see it as an insult.
Well, I must say, based upon the commas, he's pretty sassy.
That is accurate.
Hey,
I'll
Charlotte,
look-
you're a writer. How would I train myself to open a book?
Well, that's an interesting question. I would recommend starting at a library. Get used to opening other books. easier ones, and I'll glance at the one on the table. But the most important thing is to open your mind to knowledge. You have to be willing to accept whatever the book wants to tell you.
I see. I need to find a library now.
Well, there's lots of them in Aethergarde. I'm sure there's one here, Jensen.
Oh, it very much is so. And you're not wrong about wanting to be open to what it has to say. If you ever open a book to read it and expected to know what you were going to read before you actually read it, you would never get out of the book what you should get out of it. It's a very roundabout way of saying that, but I think you understand.
I mean, I had no conceptions of what was in that book because I couldn't even read it. I was very open to whatever was going to be in there.
Well,
I just want the
Aethergarde, you
book
say?
to know that.
That is the first step, V.
You notice the words on the spine change.
Are you heading to Aethergarde?
Yes.
that was
My
on
dad
destination.
died.
Am I worthy?
Fucking killing me, man.
Might you take me with you?
Okay.
I mean, can I? I'm not going to get anything else. Probably insight.
Sure.
Can I roll insight on this book?
Anybody can. It is difficult.
Yeah, I'm not.
And you're rolling against his deception.
Yeah.
It is difficult, though. I mean, his deception might not be great. You just got to keep your lower roll. So you got to roll twice and do lower.
Okay. Well, that's definitely not good. That's 5. 7. 5.
I'm not deceiving anybody.
That's not how you're supposed to do that. You're supposed to roll whether or not you're deceiving them. The vibe you get from this book is that it doesn't feel the need to lie. You doubt this book has very many fears.
No, but I am wary of a sentient thing asking me to take it somewhere. Whether
Sure.
that's nefarious.
That's totally
or not.
fine. You're not getting a nefarious vibe from the book.
Okay.
But it's also a book and you're just reading off its spine, so.
It's just a book.
Stranger things have happened.
I'll
Why do
say
you want to go to Aethergarde?
There are more people in Aethergarde. One of them may be able to open my cover.
And what will you do once someone opens you?
Well, I will train them with what I have inside.
Ah, but of course.
Are you trapped in this book, or are you the book?
I am the book.
Alright.
I told him before the session that his creature type was object.
Nice.
Objects can be thrown.
It's true. There's also a lot of
Here,
spells
how
that
about this
affect object.
book? I'll take you to Aethergarde if you give me a hint.
A hint of what?
How to be worthy or deemed worthy.
Your hint is to train yourself, body and mind.
That wasn't a hint. You already said that.
Good advice. Good advice. I must say, this book
Yes, indeed.
full of wise words, or at least the cover is covered in them. I'm not sure. I can't vouch for what's inside.
Yeah, I think that's all the hint, all the advice we're gonna get. I imagine.
Well, if we're going to take you to Aethergarde, do you have a name that you'd prefer us to refer to you by?
My name is Vir Fortis Codex.
Works for me.
I think we can take you along. I don't see the harm
I'm
in
just
it.
gonna call you Cody.
He almost got somebody to take him along a few days ago, a hunter that was passing through on their way to Aethergarde, and then he insulted him, not being able to open him, and he left the book here in a huff.
It is
Some
not
people
my
are-
fault he was too weak.
Perhaps you should try taking the book to the Museum of Mythos. They might be interested in it.
Say, well, this day is full of coincidences.
I trust it is all right to take this book with us. Then it's not.
I don't own it.
I don't want to say property of the lodge, but
I don't own it. Maisie doesn't own it, and Jafari doesn't care about it.
well, we've got room in our carriage, I presume. So I don't
None
see
of
any.
them could open my cover either.
Don't see
To be
any
fair,
trouble.
This is
Maisie
the
didn't really
attitude
try.
that he's talking about.
Sounds like you've got yourself a deal.
Thank you.
Cyril will kind of eye all of you, and then he'll sit down and he'll look at the book again and look at the rest of you. So, are you staying for a while?
Well, not long. A night or two, perhaps. Enough for so Jafari can look over my blade, and so that I can check in and see what's been going on around the lodge.
Unfortunately, it has been slow. Those hunters that usually pass through less and less. Some go to Aethergarde. They join the Silver Regiment. Others just don't come back, as you know.
There are less and less of us that I happen upon in my travels.
Well, it is not
Lonely
easy
and-
work,
Well,
and it doesn't pay well either.
well, that's we done good in that way recently, but I think that may be more because of everyone else with me than just me by myself. Not sure I could have done that without the help of these folk. What we've been through lately.
He reaches out and he pats your shoulder and he says, "We are strongest when we have unity." And he stands up and he stretches. And he says, "I'll set some rooms in case you need to stay overnight to wait for Jafari." Oh, my back. And he'll start to walk away to the
You
upstairs.
are on your feet much too much, Cyril.
He'll just chuckle as he walks away.
I'm just gonna walk around the room looking at. All the
Yeah,
other stuff.
I'm gonna tell them. I imagine being so slow and all. I don't think any of you that want to go to the library, make your way around here, can pretty much have free reign of most places here. The library is vast.
Well, I'll certainly be checking that out before we leave. I think Vicky, you'd like to join me?
Yes, I need to train.
Yes, you do. You'll be a star reader in no time, V. I promise.
Oh, The library is the next level up. Jafari is like usually in the basement when he's working on things.
Sure. Well, definitely eat and drink and hang out for a while. And I'll go check out Jafari.
Head to the basement to check on Jafari,
Yeah.
and then V, you and Charlie are heading up to the library. What would
Max would go to the library as well.
Okay. You guys just leave Veer on the table.
If I can carry it, I'll take him with us.
It is it's like carrying a textbook, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Probably like
Veer,
a good 15, 20 pounds.
yeah.
I've almost died like 16 times in the last week. I can take a book.
Yeah. You've been training for this.
I sure have.
He's deceptively heavy when you pick him up.
Oh sure. Well, it's
Alright.
because he's going dead weight. He's not working with me.
So
He's not helping at all.
I like to think that we're looking at the inside of the door of the air quotes vast library, and the three of you push it in, and we get like a shot of all of you reacting to the fact that it's really like a study that's like not even the size of like a studio apartment. But there are quite a few books in here for this time period. Looking through them, you mostly find things that look like unique manuals, as well as journals and diaries kept by previous monster hunters that passed through the area, including journals and diaries that looked like they once belonged to Chafari and Cyril. So it does seem that both of them were probably previously active monster hunters. You'd also notice that there is a collection of tomes that are just a accounting of the monster hunters that have passed through, their feats, as well as usually their deaths. The more you study these, the more you realize that it is like increasingly rare that a monster hunter lives to the point that they can retire and just work for the lodge. Usually the lodge attendants are just like people who have always been attendants, because the majority of monster hunters die at some point. Usually like while hunting, so... Is there anything that the three of you would be looking for in particular?
I am gonna go look in the records for Jensen's feats.
Sure. You do find in the records the date of Jensen's first arrival, as well as like a short history of his training at the lodge. And there are some feats there. His list is obviously not as long as a lot of the previous monster hunters, because he's still active. Jensen, any particular feats you want in there? All right. We haven't really discussed this too much.
I have a few ideas. Don't have them fully fleshed out yet, but that there is things there, and I'll start doing that. I'll try to have a couple things for you guys by the next session.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's definitely not like a... You can tell that he's been active for a few years. He's not like a fresh monster hunter.
Gotcha.
I would be trying to ascertain how long this lodge has been around, and like who was there when it was founded, and
make a study test for me. The target number is going to be 6. Are you doing anything in particular, Max, or are you just looking through things?
He'll be looking for any records of magical items or odd magical phenomena that hunters may have encountered, things like that.
Okay. You can make a study test for me as well. Target number would also be... The target number for this one would be at 12.
I got a 9, and mine is easy because I'm going to use the magnifying glass.
So, by the end of your research, there's a lot of facts you know about the Everhunt Lodge. You know that it was established in 1372, which means it's over 500 years old. It's like 516 years old. And it was started by a monster hunter who became pretty famed in the monster hunting community around Albion. It's actually somebody you've probably heard of in passing before. His name was Sir Percival Devore. And he was born from an Albion lord and a lady of Ardenne, which is a nearby nation. You would actually know, based upon accents, that it's entirely possible that multiple of your party members are from Ardenne or their family has Ardenne relation. If you think about Albion as England, Ardenne is kind of like... It's kind of like France area. It's like as you're getting towards the eastern side of Karth. you would know that by this time period, while the lodge continues to forge ahead, much like a lot of other occupations that directly involve the mythos and the secret world that most people don't know about, the advancement of the world is causing places like this lodge to fall behind greatly. And there's definitely like a clear difference between the amount of resources and manpower this lodge had in the early parts of its history to now. Like, this place was attended by like dozens of people when it was first set up, and now, as far as you can tell, there's like 3 people actively living here.
Gotcha.
What did you get on your roll, Jesse? He's muted.
I got a 9.
A 9? Oh, perfect. So you can definitely tell by the accounting in this chamber that they tend to keep magical items on hand that are collected and left behind by monster hunters. You don't know what the current state of that is, because it looks like the record keeping kind of like fell off a couple years back. But they probably do have some supply of those kinds of things stashed here somewhere.
Oh, Jensen's not here. All right, I'll wait.
He isn't. You can go find him if you want.
Yeah. After surmising that, Max will wander off to find Jensen.
Yeah, you knew that he was going to the basement, so you start heading down to the first floor. James,
Sounds good.
I'll amend that first. I think first, while they went and did that, I would have sat and pulled out like a grandfather pipe and like sat beside the fire for a little while. Yeah. Okay. So I would have just been trying to get up, probably, or wanting to get up if you come to find me.
You had watched them leave, and Cyril walked over as you were pulling out your pipe, and he gives you some fresh pipe weed, and he sits down next to you, and he lights his, and he looks at you, and he smiles, and he says, "It's been too long."
It has, my old friend. Seen some truly inspiring and yet unbelievable things recently.
Yes, I had heard some rumor from passing hunters that your quest to do good had taken you even off of the continent.
Oh, yes, it is. Oh, my, it's been a long time. Yes, there was... I got the urge to wander a little farther than I ever have.
He smiles. I still get that urge, but too bad knees.
You've been at your records in the study are quite a bit longer than mine. And I'll kind of laugh and say, I told them there was a whole library here. They're gonna go in there and read old journals of all the old thoughts that came before us instead. I got a small kick out of that.
Suddenly, that peacefulness is interrupted, but it's not interrupted by something bad so much as kind of like an energy entering the chamber. The door into the main room, it kind of pushes open, and you see Maisie step in and kick out of her muddy boots, and she turns and she smiles at you and sitting by the fire, and she says, "Bluebeard, I thought I saw you walking in."
Well, hello, young one.
And
I didn't want to interrupt you at your duties. I figured you'd come find me.
She'll rush over and lean over the seat, and she'll kind of like wrap a hug around your chest.
Yeah.
And it's been quite a while. I'm sure you have stories to share for the books.
Oh, most definitely I do. This last one was quite the adventure.
I guess the question becomes, how much time do I have to record them before you slip away from us again?
Well, if we can sabotage Jafari anyway, in fixing up my weapon, and maybe we get a little extra time. But I'm not suggesting you do that. I'm just saying.
She'll
Not
smile.
for a long time.
She'll smile happily and she'll say, "Let me just run to the study to get some supplies." And she'll rush to the stairs. She kind of brushes past you, Max. And says, "Oh, hello, stranger.
Pardon me.
Sorry, I just need to go to the study." And she continues past you. You see Max on the stairs.
I'll like gesture him. I'll kind of like nod my head at him and just stay where I am.
Max will continue down the stairs and then plop himself down in a seat near you and say, "Jensen, old chap, I can't help but notice that the lodge seems to keep a sort of catalog of enchanted items and the like that have been found over the years, but that practice seems to have lapsed recently. Are they not finding such treasures anymore, or are they simply not keeping track of them? Or do you know anything about this?"
I don't know about not keeping track of them, but as we spoke of earlier, there's less and less of us around, and even less then that come through this particular lodge. I imagine we'll something.
Cyril draws in on his pipe and he's kind of nodding as you're saying this. And he says, "We do have some things, but yes, resources are tight and hunters are keeping most of what they have as they need it. Are you a man of the secret world?"
Max will sort of gesture vaguely with one hand and say, "Oh, I dabble in this and that, but I do have a knack for prizing out their secrets, so to speak, when they're not as tight-lipped as that book was, but most of the time they're more cooperative."
Cyril chuckles at you and says, "Interesting. I had pegged you as kind of one of those fake stage magician types when you entered. What do you think, Fearfortress? Fake stage magician or real mage?" He looks at the book.
Wait, sorry, is he asking me a question?
He's asking the book if he should believe that you're a mage or a stage magician.
His mind seemed quite powerful, actually.
Interesting. Well, he's quite a bit older than I am, so if you've impressed the book, you've impressed me. Did you want to take a look? Sorry, keep going.
My dear fellow, I am far from some cheap charlatan hawking gimmicks and tricks. I am a true performer, an artist, if you will.
He'll nod his head. Like I said, I won't argue if the book's convinced. Perhaps I should gather up what's collecting dust to see if you can tell me anything about it.
Well, it would be my pleasure.
He'll put the pipe down and stand up. It's about time I stretched anyways. And he'll head out of the room. As that's happening, we cut upstairs and we see Maisie open the door to the study and stop on her heels. She sees the two of you in the study. She looks at V slightly confused, and she's about to say something like, why are you wearing that mask? And then her eyes fall on you, and she says, "Charlotte Price." And then she faints in the hall.
Oh my. V, would you mind helping her up? It seems she's had the vapors of some kind.
Did you cast a spell on her?
I did nothing of the sort. I have no magic that can do such things.
I'll go over and I'll pick her up and I'll just carry her back downstairs, I guess.
I'll come to. I'll put the pile of books I was carrying just like on a desk, and I'll follow him down.
As the rest of you, as the two of you that are sitting downstairs still, you see V come down holding Maisie unconscious in his arms, followed by Charlotte.
She's just shrugging.
Charlotte knocked her out.
I did not knock her out, at least not intentionally. There were no fisticuffs involved.
Oh, well.
No, she used her mind.
I suppose in a way I did, yes.
Oh, I didn't know what happened. She
If I had
fainted?
if I had to hazard a guess, she saw someone whose books she has read many of and fainted at the sight of such a person. Vigo,
My dear
put her-
Theo,
put her on
I did
that
not
couch
thank you for
there.
nothing.
I'll go put her where Charlotte told me to put her.
Charlotte, you point out like a fainting couch that's off to the side,
Yeah.
and she ironically, you lay her out in it, and she kind of like starts waking up, and she says, "Oh, I'm just a huge fan of your work."
Oh, well, isn't that lovely? Well, I'm always happy to see another fan.
What are you doing at the lodge?
Well, I was...
Don't tell me you're an international bestseller and a monster hunter. Incredible!
Oh, please, dear, you flatter me. No, I'm friends with Mr. Sharp here, and he wanted to stop by on our way to Aethergarde.
I suppose you kind of are, Miss Sharp, at this point.
You know
I don't know.
Bluebeard?
Oh yes, we've been
It's incredible.
yes, we've gone on some rather interesting adventures together, haven't we, Mr. Sharp?
Oh,
Wait, are you working
played
on a
many
new
places
novel?
and many times.
Well, I'm always working on my next book, yes, but I actually left Aethergarde in search of some interesting subjects, perhaps related to a book, but that might be sometime in the future.
Well, your blue-bearded friend is going to be a main character in your next novel, I think.
Oh, most assuredly.
She looks at you.
I'll look proud. Like, I'll have a little prideful look on my face.
She just pushes right past him and completely focused on you. It's like he doesn't exist anymore. Do you have time to talk about Idlewild?
I will sit down next to her.
I
I will look her in the eyes, and I will say, I have all the time in the world to talk of Idlewild.
will be right back. She rushes out of the room.
Charlotte's gonna grab her teacup and take a sip, and she just kind of has a very like she's somewhere else mentally. Like she's thinking real hard.
She has a lot of energy, Charlotte, as you can tell.
Yeah, so I see.
Except for when she met Charlotte, then she lost it all temporarily.
Well, if one truly enjoys Charlotte's work, I imagine.
Jensen, you know this girl well, yes?
Oh, fairly well, yes. I saw her grow up here.
Is she the type to run headfirst into dangerous situations without thinking?
Well, she is rambunctious and ambitious in a good way. So yes, it's.
And does she
She's,
hunt monsters herself?
Is she a hunter herself?
Yes.
Oh yes, she is. She doesn't. Not only is she a hunter, she is something of a legacy here, if you will.
Legacy.
Yes. The one who. Sorry, I'm waiting for something. Is that good? Is that correct? Okay.
You know
Okay.
that.
Yeah. I would say lost my train of thought.
She's a legacy.
Yeah. The one that's the monster hunter that originally built this place many centuries ago. The last. It is believed that she's the last of his direct bloodline.
I see.
but she's not carried by name alone, or legacy alone. I will assure you.
And what sorts of things has she dealt with?
I think she's been more of a. When you start out, you're not, on your own. Like you all found me. I found you. They help. They assist. It's maybe in the olden days they might call it somewhat of a apprentice or squire, even, I suppose. But she also helps out around here a lot with the things that attendants would have helped with in the past. Not too many of us living here now, so everybody's had to wear, many different caps.
Noted.
She is a genuine girl, someone who really cares about her kin that roll through here. It may be over the top, but and I don't always know her reading habits, but her acting like this means she is very much inspired by your work, I imagine.
Yes, it certainly seems so. My next question for her was going to be which of my books she's read, but it seems I have
All of them.
that. Ah, returned. Please have a seat.
She re-enters the room and she sits down with a journal and she looks at you very seriously.
I'm gonna give her my full attention.
And as you kind of lock eyes with her, she'll say to you, it's almost quietly, she'll say, Idlewile's real, isn't it?
Very much so, my dear.
She pushes this kind of unbound, wrapped collection of notes and papers to the center of the table, and she says, I've read every page many times. I've done a lot of my own research. I have reason to believe that not only is it real, it's still connected to us somehow. And then she'll pull back the strands and she'll start pushing the notes out. And at this point, she's you can tell that she's about to go full Charlie meme with all the connecting dots on the wall on you, and you're about to get sucked into this whole thing.
I'm still giving her my full attention.
Yeah, I figured. The rest of you can tell that very, very quickly these two other people are just kind of they're not purposely closing you out of the conversation, but they're their full attention is on each other and what they're talking about.
I'm gonna look at Max as they do this, kind of chuckle and say, well, I need to go see an armor smith about a certain blade. He would probably know where all them magical artifacts that we might have still sitting around here would be stored. Would you like to join me, Max?
Certainly. I wouldn't mind seeing more of the lodge at any rate.
All right. And I'll look down, I'll put my hand on Charlie's shoulder and be like, oh, will you be okay here with Macy?
Oh, I'll be quite well, Mr. Sharp, thank you.
Yeah, and I'll set my cup down and the pipe down, and we'll head down to the basement.
V, what would you like to do?
Oh yeah.
I'd like to go back upstairs and continue practicing opening books.
Okay. V, you kind of see people splitting up again, and you head upstairs. We're gonna
montage.
Cut away from this scene. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just a bunch of cuts of him trying to open book pages. It's raining and it's late. Several hours from where we're leaving your characters. We pick up about a half day's hard ride away as the personal transport, the old black Gothic peaked carriage, stops in front of a run-down manor house. Deracide, as you step out of the carriage, and you look upon your family home in Aethergarde, one of several properties you bounced around between as you grew up. What's on your mind?
I'm probably wondering if any other relatives are here currently.
Even before you reach the top of the first flight of stone steps up to the front door, you can see one of the brighter lights turn on from inside the entryway, and the door opens. Harold, the manor servant, steps out with his slight hunch, his extra long, kind of awkward arms. He bows and he waves a hand. Sir, welcome home.
Thank you.
He gives you a kind of serious look and he says, your mother is waiting.
Wonderful.
And then he reaches into his jacket and he pulls out a large kind of skeletal key and he hands it to you. I kept it safe for your return, as you requested. No one has entered.
Thank you very much. I'll pocket the key.
I'll gather your things and leave them in your chambers.
And I will see to my mother.
He steps past you down the steps. As you walk in, you can hear the crackle of the fire from the sitting room. And as you walk past the carpet and over the stone, you stop at the arch, and you can see her frame, her hair up, always perfect, gray with strands of white kind of reaching down over her face. Her dress always pressed, and she sits down her tea. She doesn't turn her head or her face away from the fire, but just like always, she knows it's you. She can tell by your steps. Durasane?
Mother?
You should sit down. We need to have a conversation.
Without saying anything, I'll just step up and sit down.
She turns and she looks at you. Her one milky glass eye settling on you just like her good eye. Her lips pensive. Your father has passed.
I did hear. That is why I am back.
You don't wish to know how?
While I am curious, it does not change what's going to happen, does it?
She gives you a stern look.
Then fine then, Mother. Please tell me, how did Father die?
An illness. It took him quickly. He's been asking for you for over a year. And yet, you have made yourself increasingly difficult to locate.
I did not leave on the best of terms. Both you and him saw to that.
Yes. A family name built on generations, and you tried to sully it with one foolhardy action, but blame us. Doesn't matter now anyways. Your father's final wishes shall be granted. She passes you a stack of folded papers.
Is this his will?
It is all the necessary papers for you, so you can sign off for your part of it. The last stipend he left you, as well as lordship over the hall. He always felt that you enjoyed Aethergarde the most. Once you've signed them, I can return home.
We'll be prepared to stay the night, at least. I will read through these and sign them should I deem it necessary.
Well then, as acting lady of the hall, you can do so elsewhere.
Very well. Good night, Mother.
Good night. And as you scoop up the papers, leave the chamber, you can see Harold taking your things up the steps with his kind of strange hunched gait. And that is where we will take our break for the session. Back at the lodge, you are heading downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
There's a sparking warmth here. The forge is active. It's an old style, mostly manual. Not as much of a relic as the forge that all of you used with the ghost, but definitely behind the times. Much less technological than what you might find in Aethergarde. Jafari is hard at work. He's doffed his shirt off to the side, and it appears that he's forging a new blade. The old blade has already been removed from the hilt. This one could not be saved. It is not corrupted, but it would never be able to reforge back into its former self. Something about this magic that interacted with it.
Oh yes, there was significantly, I don't know what you want to call this, maybe the acid had almost an intent behind it. Kind of like everything else where we were. That's alright. Re-enchanted we need to as well. And this here is my friend Maximilian. I just really like being down here, and I kind of walk away towards the forge and say, "There's something very strong and at the same time calm and balanced about being near a forge like this."
The walls are littered with various weapons, suits of armors of different styles and cultures. It's obvious that Jafari has traveled for a person of this time period, and not only that, but he clearly has a passion for like understanding other cultures and their forge work.
It's probably what I was thinking about that. It's probably why me and him were close, because I too appreciate learning new cultures. That's what kind of spurred me to go farther than I ever have in this last.
I like that.
Yeah.
He looks to you, Max, and says, "You don't seem like you fit in."
Pardon me? Fit in?
Try holding one of the blades, swinging it maybe. He smiles.
Oh, now let's not pick on him too much. He is mighty potent with what he does.
He chuckles.
I would like to telekinesis one of the blades.
Yeah.
He watches you pull it off the wall.
Max will say, "If you insist," and then he'll walk along the blades on the wall, sort of studying them, and then he'll gesture to one that's a few feet away from himself and sort of make little like nudging notions with his finger, and so like wobbles off the wall and then steadies itself, and then he'll slash around at the air a few times with it.
He just chuckles. He watches you do that, and he says, I suppose we all have our own skill sets. I should have the blade done by tomorrow morning.
Well, that sounds mighty good.
Oh, and this. And he'll hand you across the forge a new Everhunt Lodge medallion. You would know that it gives you its wearer a +1 to initiative, just like the other one did.
Ooh.
Additionally, you can activate the medallion as a reaction when you successfully attack a monstrosity or an undead to deal an additional amount of radiant damage on your attack equal to your resolve.
Cool.
After you do that activation, though, it's destroyed.
Yeah.
So that is a one-time use.
For sure.
I'll make you a card.
I would say, or you can throw it on my dock, my Jensen's dock.
I can actually make you a card pretty easily.
Okay, for sure. Well, cool. Say, ooh, that feels even better than having the protection of another lodge on me.
Another lodge.
Feels like home. Well, I came across one that I found, and another emblem that was true to its protective powers.
What was the symbol on this medallion?
Yeah, I don't remember that out of character.
It was an old oak tree.
Oh, right. It was the Secretian. It was a Secretian emblem. Right?
No, it was a hunter's lodge. The hunter's lodges are not related to the Secretians.
Oh, right. Okay.
So the Silver Regiment is related to the Secretians, and they also hunt monsters, but they only take care of monster issues inside of Aethergarde.
Yeah. Okay, I'll say. Think for a second, and I'll say it had a great sprawling tree on it. I think an oak.
Interesting. There was an old oak lodge north of here, very far north. We have not heard from anyone there in some time. We had heard that they were having trouble with vampires.
I'm gonna look back at Maximilian and kind of like move my eyebrows up and down, like, see.
Max is going to say, seems like everyone's having trouble with vampires these days.
You as well?
That is how I lost my last emblem. I used it there.
He thinks for a moment, and he frowns. Interesting. Coincidences or connections? I do not know.
Well, shit, knowing that's north of here, depending on how our visit to Aethergarde goes, that might be something I put my resources towards at some point.
It is many weeks north of here. I could draw you a map.
I would appreciate that, actually. Just take it with me.
He'll nod. You'll have it in the morning.
Thank you, my friend.
You said you were looking for something else?
Oh, yes. Max wanted to know if we still had a stash of any artifacts or relics that might be magical or maybe once contained magical or some such.
He lifts the hilt, the bladeless hilt, and he points off to the side to a chest. There are some things in there that have been left behind by other hunters. Take what you need. I don't need them.
I was going to say, do you mind if we looked through them? That'd be wonderful. And I'll look to Max, and I'll head over there and open up the chest.
Inside, you guys find a couple low-quality healing poultices.
We'll take them.
Additionally, you find what appears to be an old shawl, a wand, And I think just those two things. Yes, just an old, what looks like an old shawl and a wand.
Max will take out his dragon shard and take a moment examining them.
They both appear to be magical.
Can I identify their properties?
The shawl appears to be kind of a strange. It appears to be kind of a strange clashing of otherworldly and primal energies. And the wand appears to be entirely arcane. To know more, you would need to use the other spell.
What's the other spell again?
Doesn't the eyesight one have a thing that you can pay that lets you identify things?
Magical sight? Yeah, it lasts for an hour. I had it up for the book earlier, so unless it's been over an hour.
But when you kicked it on to try to check the...
Oh, it ended the spell.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Then yeah, I'll pop it back on.
Counter it again.
He's not there.
So mean.
The shawl is a hag shawl. Once for a long rest, when you prepare a witch's sigil while you're wearing it, you can prepare that sigil at a strength higher than whatever your current cap is.
Oh.
Additionally, if you would make a sigil, you can choose to sacrifice all the magic in the shawl to increase the sigil strength by 3 instead of 1. But when you do that, the shawl disintegrates itself, and it's destroyed as an item. The wand is what appears to be a fairly simple wand. You can tell that you need to have 20 or more character points in the mage calling to wield it. And while you're wielding it, you get a +1 bonus to your power wits rolls. Additionally, when you use specifically an arcane power, you can increase the strength of that arcane power by 3 up to whatever your spell strength cap is, but when you do that, the wand's destroyed.
Max will spend a few minutes combing over them with the dragon shard and sort of muttering to himself. And then he'll put the shard away and say, well, from what I can tell, this shawl, and he'll hold it up to the light and examine it and say, this shawl is only usable by a witch. If only we knew someone talented in the dark arts. And he'll wink at Jensen.
Yeah. If only.
And then he'll slide the wand into a inside pocket of his waistcoat, and then he'll put the shawl over one arm and say, well, I do believe we could put these to good use. If you truly don't mind us taking them along, taking them along with us, we will certainly, I think, hinder any monster's chances any remote chances monsters might have against Mr. Jensen here.
He smiles at you. It's almost like a knowing smile, and he says, I have no need for stick, and the shawl is not my color.
I was just thinking it was going to fit someone we knew's aesthetic very much. We appreciate you, Jafari.
He nods. I'll see you in the morning.
I'll clasp my hand on
Maxwell,
his shoulder and squeeze.
Max will tip his hat and say, much appreciated, my dear sir.
He goes back to work.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, we'll head back up.
As you head back up into the room, you see Charlotte and Maisie kind of poring over these notes. And Maisie, she turns one of the papers and she pushes it towards you, and it's a sketch she's made of what looks almost like a large barn cat, but it has kind of this strange, almost humanoid smile. And she says, there's been sightings of a cat, something like this, several times all around Aethergarde. It reminded me of the Smiling Cat from Chapter 7, Paragraph 34 of Novel 2.
You've read them quite a lot, it seems.
I have annotated and unannotated editions. I might have you sign both, if you don't mind.
Oh, I don't mind at all. I'm actually quite flattered. Usually when people come to me asking about my books, they ask about the, shall I say, less interesting ones.
Oh, they're all very interesting, I think.
I'm very glad that you think so.
Anyways, all of this is to say that I think for some reason, recently, in the last few years at least, something involving Idlewild is happening. These sightings of these other creatures and some strange symbols that I were sketched in some of your deluxe editions. All of them popping up.
Oh, you bought the deluxe editions.
Of course! Annotated and unannotated.
Well then. Oh, yeah, you'll have to excuse me. This is not what I expected to find coming here. I saw this simply as a bit of a pit stop for Mr. Sharp, but it seems this is the most important stop on my trip so far.
She smiles at you and she'll say, coincidences often prove important, which you would recognize. She's quoting a character in one of your books.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'll just kind of chuckle at that.
There's somebody you should meet if you are continuing on to Aethergarde. He's a proctor and a lecturer. He works at the Museum of Mythos. And she pulls out a card and she writes down his information, and she says, he's somebody that I've talked to extensively and has helped me interview some of the people that have had these different sightings.
And all this information that you've gathered, this was recently?
Well, it spans several years. I've only more recently begun collecting it.
I see.
But just, let's see, Leulian, 11 days before now, another sighting of the smiling barn cat. She pushes one of the other papers forward. It's one of the paper presses from Aethergarde, and you can tell that it's being treated as kind of like a joke subject.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the same way that people are like joke covering the drones being aliens right now over in Florida. It's that kind of thing.
Yes, it's really quite sad that they treat it as nothing short of a joke, although I now understand why it's so difficult for people to comprehend, but I'm glad that you do at the very least. You see, I've devoted my entire life, Maisie, to finding Idlewild, or rather finding what remains of Idlewild here in our world. And I think your work is going to help me.
She nods to you, and she's kind of like parsed aside the stuff that she has like kind of accrued multiple copies of the information so that you can take it with you. And she'll say, oh yes, and she'll take the paper back and she'll pull her pin back out and she'll write on the back of it his name, who you'll want to ask for. His name is Stolas.
Stolas, understood. This is incredible work you've done here. I can't thank you enough, really.
She's smiling more and more proudly. Her cheeks getting red as you compliment her. It's an honor.
Oh, the honor's all mine, Maisie, please. But you had books for me to sign?
Yes, I'll go collect them. And she rushes off again. And temporarily the party is left alone together. Muted.
Upstairs reading books. Training. And also I came back down.
Oh, it's up to you. You're up there, turning pages. Nothing has happened, and it's probably grown increasingly hard for you to focus. This whole mind training thing, super difficult.
Yeah. I should go find somebody. Ree's gonna sit there thinking, I should go find somebody who recently died that was really good at studying and eat their brain.
Oh, that's
not
not
a
a plan.
Do you want to go back down?
That should help. Yeah, I'll go back down.
Why read books on your own when you can
Now
just
you're
read
all
someone who
together.
already did?
Now you're all together in this,
Exactly.
in the.
Yeah.
Incredible
You're
sentence.
getting it.
Now you're all together in the open chair.
Yeah, incredible sentence. You
Miss-
seemed awfully
Miss-
enthusiastic about her research. Was it as credible as you were making it seem?
Oh, it most certainly is. This is the largest stride I've made since I left Aethergarde. I'm quite impressed. She's as detailed as I am. Her notes are very similar to mine. Quite, I would say it would be creepy, but I know that she's just of the same mind.
You've been collecting some evidence of this like Idlewild related activity yourself, like easily as much as her, but you didn't know that anybody else was out there doing this.
Yeah.
And there's like new sightings and new to you sightings and stuff in her research.
Yeah. Charlotte will kind of look over everything, and then she'll kind of see that everyone's like looking at her, and she'll say, "Well, I suppose the smiling cat's out of the bag now, isn't it? It is true. I'm looking for a place called Idlewild. What is there to say about it? I suppose this conversation, or at least a longer version of it, will have to wait for another time, once I've gathered my thoughts. But for now, you should know that Idlewild is a place I visited once, a very long time ago. 36 years ago, to be exact. And it is a place I have been trying to get back to ever since. It is a very dangerous place. I highly recommend that in the event that I ever find a way to get there, I highly, highly suggest that you do not follow me. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there, I suppose.
Well, after a warning like that, how could any of us possibly not?
She's gonna
Whoa.
shoot you a glare, and then she'll just like smile.
Are there strong people there?
Well, as far as people are concerned, I only ever knew of the one. He's let's just say he's no longer there.
So that's a no.
I'm afraid it is.
Not interested.
That's probably for the best.
Well, if we combine what training we do of our body and mind outside of here with whatever you end up showing us, maybe that will be enough.
Would Max know anything about Idlewild?
I've been hard at work training my mind.
Lore test.
And how has that gone?
It was very difficult. Reading is kind of boring.
I see.
Nice.
It's important
Because I get +1.
for the training.
It is.
You have heard of Idlewild. Idlewild is a children's book novel fantasy world that Charlotte Price is attributed with creating. That there is a segment of people who study the mythos who believe may or may not be a real place. And Charlotte, you can detail more based upon his test. I'm trying to remember. I know that there's like a transition in how you wrote about it.
Does she write about it as a real place?
Okay, so here's the thing. So her initial books talked about it as if it were a real place. However, people started assuming that it was not real because it was just simply too ridiculous to be real. So she kind of leaned into that and she started writing fantasy novels about Idlewild. but she also writes books about things. She's also writing books about like magic and other planes of reality and portals and things like that. So she kind of has like two different types of books that she writes that she's known for. But her initial books, they are written as if they are true. Yes,
So there's a bit of a
they're personal accounts. Yeah.
So there's a bit of a dog whistle there in the fantasy stuff for the true believers.
Right.
When you think about like how like your character perceives the world based upon how it was written and what he's heard about it and that kind of thing, Idlewild is very much like kind of a Alice in Wonderland kind of situation.
I had gotten that vibe after the smiling cat.
Fair enough.
Feels very magicians.
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's you've written about this Idlewild quite extensively, if memory serves, Miss Price.
Yes, no one else has written more about it than I have. Trust me.
Have other people written much about it?
Yes, but like as far as like the mainstream belief that it's a fantasy world novel setting, it's Charlotte is like credited with creating it. So she would be like the foremost authority on it. In the view of most people.
It's full of odd things like caterpillars that smoke pipes and dormice that drink tea. Yes?
Oh, you've read my books as well.
Once or twice in my youth.
Yes, unfortunately, that's what most people pass them off as children's stories. I suppose that if it keeps those people away from Idlewild, perhaps it's for the best. But I know that there are people like Maisie who will read my books and see that there's truth to it. They'll seek that truth as well. Those are the kindred souls that I'm seeking, and that is why I left Aethergarde. Not enough, and she's going to look over at the book, not enough worthy people in my eyes in Aethergarde.
Well, it does all sound rather fantastical, if you don't mind my saying so. To believe in things like that, one might as well believe in things like manticores and towns removed from time.
Yeah, you're certainly right about that, Max. But believe me, everything I've written in my books about Idlewild is completely true. I've not fabricated anything. You have my word.
I would never doubt it. Ah, that reminds me. And he'll take the shawl off his arm and hold it up and say, I found something downstairs that might fit you. It does look like it would rather bring out your eyes, don't you think?
Oh, well, that's quite lovely. Oh, thank you.
Yes, of course. I'm always keeping an eye out for the latest fashions, as you know.
Oh, I do know.
I think it's more than just fashion, Miss Price. Don't worry.
You definitely feel kind of like a connection to it as soon as it's passed off into your hands. It's not like a familiar connection, but it's like the power within it is familiar kind of connection.
She's gonna shoot a death glare to Max, and she's gonna say, "What have you handed me, Max?"
Well, it would seem the hunters do keep a certain stash squirreled away of odds and ends that are brought in from time to time, and well, I didn't see that there was anyone around here who could make better use of this than you could.
So it's enchanted, is what you're telling me.
Indeed. As near as I can tell, it has been enchanted with magic of the Wiccan variety.
Wow. Quite curious indeed.
Quite perfect.
Not that I know much about that thing myself, of course, but I thought you, with all your studies and research, might be able to learn a bit more about it.
I'll spend some time with it, seeing what I can glean. Thank you for thinking of me, Max. It is much appreciated.
But of course,
What
I
else
only
did
wish
you-
I'd found something for everyone else.
Yes, what else did you find down there? Anything particularly old?
Well, there were a couple of poultices, but hopefully they're not terribly old. They did smelled more or less fine, right? Yeah. Well, and this, he'll pull the wand out. This odd-looking stick here, thought I'd keep it. Has a nice shape to it, don't you think?
She's gonna kind of duck when you pull out the wand, and then she'll
He
steal herself.
pulls it out and holds it up by the tip.
She
rather
still
than the handle.
ducks.
Yeah.
She still ducks, but yeah, she'll see that you're handling it, and she'll kind of sit up straight and readjust the shawl. Well, let's hope it's not explosive, at least.
Max will chuckle and say, on the contrary, I rather hope it is. And then he'll tuck it back away in his jacket.
My good friend has reunited with me with a little piece of home, and I'll produce the emblem just to show the rest of the party. Beautiful work. And Chofari has informed me that he's going to need till the morning to fix my blade. So at the earliest, it looks like we're going to be using those rooms that have been set aside for us.
Maisie brings in another stack of books that's about as tall as the floor to the bar top. There's 4 of them in the room right now. And then she takes a deep breath and she runs back out of the room.
Well, that works out well, Jensen, because I've got quite the night ahead of me.
It seems you do. I also found out. I remember me using that other emblem that I had to help myself in a fight. I don't even know how long ago now. But it was of another lodge, and Jafari actually knew where that lodge was. And it resides many weeks' travel north of Aethergarde, even. But I have something in my head. If we're not too busy after we take care of Aethergarde, if our Highway Travels happen to go there, I guess no one's heard from that lodge in a long time. So, something I'm going to keep on my plate for later.
Noted.
So yes, we will be making the lodge our home for the night.
Well, much appreciated for you taking us here, Jensen. I'm glad we have a safe place after all the rather unsafe places we've been recently.
Right, there's a warmth here that we have not felt as a group for a minute. My home is all your home, I guess we can say, for the night. I'm gonna get a nice hot bubble bath tonight.
You deserve it, Jensen.
We oil the beard a little bit, you know.
V, how are you doing?
Okay. I'm still not sure why Dad didn't want me to go with him.
Well, we all know how important you are to him. I don't think he would have left you alone unless he had a very, very good reason. Perhaps there's something at home that he doesn't want you to have to deal with.
I mean, he did kick me out at one point, so it's not exactly like he's always kept me around.
Well, I think you'll find that happens with most parent-child relationships at some point, V. Yours is just a little bit, special.
I imagine he's I imagine he's trying to protect you from undue and unfair scrutiny from less open-minded folk of his family.
Have you ever met
I would
any of
not
his...
take it too personal.
Have you ever met any of your father's family, V?
Would I have ever been around any of them, Daria?
If you were, you would have been hidden.
Yeah, that's kind of what I expected.
Not openly, yeah.
Not openly around them. You could probably point them out based on pictures of them.
I've seen pictures. Does that count?
I certainly think it does. Perhaps he's trying to keep you away from his family. They may not be as accepting as we are.
It could be.
There was an edge to his demeanor since he met that driver they sent for him. There's probably a reason he hasn't been home in a minute.
Everyone has
That
their
was what I
demons.
thought.
Dr. Wallace is no different.
Oh yes, no, very. You should not keep the company that makes you the least comfortable. That's for sure.
I don't know, you keep telling me how uncomfortable I make you, and yet you're still around.
Well, I do not come from a place of his station, or I would never. My family would never send a buggy looking out for me. That's all I'm saying.
Mine might. I don't know if Dari would.
I think Tara would. I think he means to protect you.
And so do we, for that matter, V. As long as you're with us, we'll do everything we can to keep you safe. And hope you'll do the same for those of us that are less inclined in a fighting sense, if you catch my meaning.
Yeah, of course. I like fighting.
You need to train more.
But a trainer doesn't exactly have to be fighting. And to be honest, you make me uncomfortable sometimes, but I'd like to think that this world is a lot for me to learn. And if I'm going to be the best version of myself, I need to look at things from other perspectives as well. I'd rather learn about you than get rid of you. Now, V, come on.
I don't really have that many answers.
You will.
Not yet.
Time.
Are there any, cemeteries nearby?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, there's the cemetery where monster hunters that died here have been buried.
Yeah.
You don't
I
know
do
if any of
not
those
want you.
bodies are fresh enough, anyways.
Yeah.
But you're
well,
basically in the wilderness, so.
Well, we are out here all by ourselves in the lodge, really. But I imagine we do lay our fallen kin to rest. But I would prefer if you didn't dig up my fallen kin. I know you have urges or whatever.
They're probably too old anyway.
But probably.
What kind of group have I stumbled into?
Yes.
One strong in body and mind.
Is that so?
But individually.
It's just a magician, an author, a monster hunter, and a zombie. No big deal. Totally normal, average group that's wandering through the countryside.
Set up
the
to a
chapter's
good deal,
name.
probably.
The magician, the witch, the monster hunter, the zombie.
The zombie.
It's like this chapter. Well, dude, you sound like you're curious to find out. I've never heard of a book that's just as curious as its reader.
I'll then prove it. Hit me.
I see no reason to hit a book.
If you don't think you can.
Something tells
Well, I
me
think I
David
did.
Jensen.
Oh, I imagine he wants me to, but I will not be baited by.
Is that my intention? Is that what you think?
Apparently, you've been insulting everything that's also sentient that's not a book. So, yeah, I do believe that your intention
That is
is
not
to...
true. I have also insulted this table.
You know, one who feels the need to insult an inanimate object is You know, that says a lot right there.
It wasn't inanimate when I insulted it.
Well, that would be interesting.
I'll hit the
I'm
book.
not gonna argue with a book anymore.
V punches you. Go ahead and make a dodge test for me. V, make an attack roll.
I don't dodge.
Fair.
You don't dodge.
I'm a book.
That's fair. And you need somebody to carry you, so that would be a 14 to hit.
I'm not dodging.
All right. How much damage, bludgeoning damage, did you do to the book?
3.
I have 3 armor.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to affect the book at all.
Not quite there.
I'm close.
That did not seem too satisfactory there, V.
I'll pull out the spiked knuckle dusters to see if piercing damage works any better.
You strike him for 3 piercing damage. How does it go, Chris?
I have 3 armor still.
Doesn't seem to help.
So it doesn't have to do with height. Weak either way.
Josh's nemesis this campaign is a fucking book that he can't open and can't punch.
Oh, don't worry. I'll figure out how to punch it. I already have ideas for features I'm taking next.
Have to take hard strikes just so he can damage this book.
I already took heavy strike. I gotta
Okay.
take something else. I gotta start getting combos so I can deal more
Yeah, you
damage.
do.
Do a sweeping leg kick on this fucking butt.
A low blow.
Or a couple combo points.
We call that a punt.
Yeah, I call it a book punt.
Just gonna dip into that Fahrenheit 451 calling.
Yep.
Oh, that's dark.
Gonna learn a thing or two.
That book hasn't been written yet.
Well, we know who's about to write it.
Punching it, spike punching it, didn't seem to work.
V. Ray Bradbury. Bradbury.
Ah, somebody's trying to punch Veer again, I see.
I feel like I was this close.
Gosh. I saw a hunter break his longsword edge on it a few days back.
That must have been a really weak longsword. That didn't hurt my hand at all.
Perhaps you have a very strong hand.
Perhaps not punching hard enough.
I'm already thinking of ways I can punch harder. Don't you worry.
Oh, I have no doubt of that.
It's good to have goals, I suppose.
I feel like we're going backwards in our relationship with you, V. Veer.
I could hit you if you feel that this is unfair.
No, not at all.
Or I could hit you with him. 2 birds with 1 stone. I think that's the saying.
I don't know if that would work. I would suggest you not hit anybody with the book. Although I wouldn't be. I would probably laugh if the book came and hit you in the face right now. I wouldn't lie. It would just be so surprising.
It would be really surprising. You're not wrong.
Anyways,
Don't fear, I will not hit you. You did not hurt me, so I won't hurt you.
I don't know if you could hurt me.
I could try.
That is true. You could try. Here, how about this? If you can't hurt me, I'm considered worthy.
That is not how this deal works.
You seem real... Then why would I let you hit me? There's no benefit at all.
I never said there would be a benefit.
After some more training, we'll go blow for blow.
Veer, have you ever deemed anyone worthy?
There was one. Many years ago. They're gone now. You can learn about them if you can open my pages.
Well, isn't that convenient?
How far back can you remember, Veer? If you don't mind me asking. Do you remember when you were created? Written, rather?
No.
I see. Do you remember where you came from, at least?
Can't say that I do.
Maybe you need to read yourself to relearn what you are. I can help you.
And how
I'll
would
read
you do
you
that?
to you.
People say reading is boring.
Or maybe those books are just boring.
I have always said that an interesting book makes for an interesting time. A boring book makes for a boring time.
That is very true.
This seems like an interesting book.
V, I'm quite certain this is the most interesting book you'll ever at least try to read.
Oh, I will read it.
Determination is a good start.
Then keep up your training.
Yes, master.
Oh no.
Is there anything else any of you would like to do before you go to rest?
I'm signing books.
Yeah. I mean,
said and just
yeah.
chain smoke weed pipe weed.
Yeah.
Charlotte does.
We all know what you meant.
Yep,
Charlotte does take some
I'm doing
time
that too, but
Charlotte does take some time as she's signing the books. She's signing her own books to like kind of reread things that she's written. Just kind of refreshing her memory on what she wrote a long time ago.
Sure.
But yeah, she's just going to do that as long as it takes, and she will spend as much time as possible with Maisie.
You're probably the last person to go to bed.
Yeah.
Veer, Max, anything?
She's definitely not the last person to go to bed.
That's fair.
All right. Veer, Max, anything?
Max would spend some more time examining the stick he picked up
Sure.
before turning in.
You would notice that there is what looks like a hand, like somebody was holding a knife and etched into the fatter end of it, and it looks like a Y and an M.
If he's still up, he'd go ask the blacksmith if the initials mean anything to him.
Trifari tells you that he actually didn't even notice them before he put it in there. I wasn't paying attention. I was just told it was a magic stick. I'm much more interested in magic blades.
That is fair. They're the ones that get all the stories. Do you know anything about where it was found or how it came to be brought back here?
A hunter brought it back. I'm trying to remember his name. I have not seen him in some time. If I can, I will bring you what information I remember in the morning.
That would be most appreciated.
Give me time to... He strikes the blade and then he dips it into the water. Ruminate.
One of my favorite pastimes. I shall leave you to it.
He'll nod. One by one, each of you finds your things to do, swaps stories, smokes by the fire.
Have a long bubble bath right before I go to bed.
V will either be up in the study reading all night. He's alternate between doing that and practicing his punches.
Okay.
Because I can only short rest anyway, so I have 7 hours to kill.
Yeah.
So gonna split my time up between those two things to train myself for this book.
One by one. You do these things. You rest in your various ways, or let pastime pass. And we come back to Aethergarde. More specifically, the manor of the Von Waltz, which is located in the lower city district of Bethel Hill. It is late as you're going over what has been left from your father's will. You'll be receiving an immediate payment of 1,000 demarks. It is already at the home. Additionally, all that is legally needed for you to become Lord of the Manor is to sign your name on the documents. Looking over them, you've studied them. I'm just going to say in past time, you didn't need to roll. There don't seem to be any catches to this. This was it appears to you, based upon your father's letter that's included, that this home was always intended to be left to you upon his passing.
If I don't find anything nefarious, I would sign it and still make my mother wait the whole night before going back in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't like her either.
Based.
You can go ahead and add the headquarters feature to your character sheet. And the 3 points that would have been spent to pay for it to your total character points.
You said it was 1,000 demarks?
Yep, it is 1,000 demarks. After putting down those papers, you rub your forehead, and you can't help but feel your eyes wander up to the candlestick by the bookshelf that allows it to slide to the side. It's been a very long time. It feels even longer than it's been, but to you, to your heart, to your mind, it's been a very long time since you've been below your home. What do you choose to do this evening?
I don't want to go down there.
Your eyes linger on the candlestick, and then you let out a deep breath, and you lay back on your bed. Hours away, at around this same time, Charlotte, you lay in your bed thinking of all these things in the dark, this these notes, these symbols, these sightings. And as you close your eyes, you feel this urge to open them again. You open them, you blink a few times as you see the cat smiling at you from the shadows.
Just gonna roll my eyes and go back to sleep.
You roll your eyes, you turn on your pillow and you close them, and the cat just keeps smiling. And that's where we're going to end our session for the night. And that's our last session of 2024, gang.
Spooky.
Great session, everybody.
It was a good. It was a good time.
It was a good time.
I'm excited my dad got replaced with a master while he's gone. You know,
A bookmaster.
a bookmaster.
One character point for the session, one character for the point for the role play, and 3 character points to celebrate the end of the year. So that's 5 total.
7. Yeah, 5.
5
Give
total
me
for the
7.
session. Yeah.
Sweet.
Oh yeah.
Did we get any
So
character
I'm going to
points
be able to
last
punch
week?
you real good
got
next
2
time,
last week.
Chris.
2 last week?
Yes.
Okay.
James is muted. I don't know if he's trying to talk to us or not, though.
Yeah, I was just saying I have 4 left over because I forgot to use any last time, so I got 9 points.
You don't have to rest to use character points anymore.
Yeah.
You just need to do it between sessions.
I'm sitting on 14.
Sweet.
I haven't spent them in a while.
Ding.
I kept.
I got
That
quite
is a
bit,
while.
too.
I had 7 and then I forgot about them, and then I was counting them up before this session. I was like, oh shit.
Does Veer get everything as well?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
You got 5 points on each of your characters there.
Okay. Well, if we should be equal, then Veer has 15 points to spend.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Figure that out. Figure that out before January.
Yeah. Speaking of January, I have a preview of the one-shot.
Ooh.
Epilogue scene teaser?
Do you want
Yeah.
to do a little scene right now?
Yeah.
All right.
Small cul-de-sac with a strip mall. Anywhere, USA. Saturday, July 31st, 1993. Robin Hood Men in Tights just released to theaters 3 days ago. This fact has no bearing on the story, it's just a neat bit of trivia. We pick up with our intrepid fast food employees of the Little Carl on Wayward Avenue, the last fast food chain on the left. The Wayward Strip, as locals call it. This strip mall features stores such as Ace's Cardware and Printing Stock, Antiques plus Not Antiques, Thrift and Pawn, Greenwalls, Paint and More, the store that values consumers, Pharmacy Mart, that's SVC to the layman, and of course the crowning jewel, Blockbusters, newly built. We can't forget to mention our fast food entries. We have McD's chicken nuggets, and of course there's also Taco Baco.
Yeah.
We can't forget our very own Little Carl, where our story will take place.
Represent.
Or, at the very least, where it will begin. That's your preview.
Jesse, there's still time to get in on
Nice.
this. You can be a Little Carl employee with us. Night only next month.
I heard you can play as a chicken nugget.
to join us?
No, he
as
said no
composers?
magic. He said no magic, and there's clearly magic at chicken nuggets.
But someone has to train body and mind to become a chicken nugget master.
True.
True.
Exactly.
What system is this?
It's in this one.
This one.
He told us to make. He told us to make character
20-point
rank
character.
to non-magical characters that work at Little Carl.
And could have one flaw.
Oh yeah, you can have one.
You can have a
points.
flaw if you want.
I think my flaw is I work at Little Carl. You should do a special flaw for us where we're like
didn't come.
we always smell like fries.